Hey guys, Third Devil, music vlog. How y'all doing? Today, the music vlog is gonna be straight up Slipknot. My favorite band in the fucking world. My favorite band on album. My favorite band in the car. My favorite band taking a shit. My favorite band live. Yeah. um, Slipknot's been around for 16 years, media wise, like mainstream wise. They've been one of the most talked about bands since '99 when they debuted at Ozfest on the main media stream. They were big on the hard rock scene where they were from, which they said the rock scene wasn't really that big in Iowa, but they were really big there. You know, they got really big across seas before they even got real big in the states. Well, they've come out with 5 albums. Self-entitled, Iowa, Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, All Hope Is Gone, and recently Point 5, The Great Chapter. This band has evolved so much over the past 16 years. It's incredible. When you look at their albums from the debut album in '99 to Point 5 Great Chapter, the sound has completely changed on the rest. Except for a few things like the drums, the guitars, and the bass line. But main thing that's changed is Corey's sound, the lead singer, if you don't know who Slipknot really is. Um, Corey Taylor has been the forerunner of this band for a long time. Clown has been the backbone of this band since Paul Gray passed away in 2010. And, you know, when I first heard of Slipknot was in early 2000, like February 2000. I was over at a friend's house and I was just starting to come into heavy metal. In my own. I mean, there was just a couple bands. There was like one or two artists I really knew of, and our main one was Rob Zombie. But I didn't know who Slipknot was. Didn't really hear about them because the friends I had in like middle school at the time when I lived in Lexington, Virginia, was mainly country and hip hop and Limp Bizkit, Korn, and Godsmack, the typical bands. So I mean, that's the ones I grew up. That's the ones that got me into hard rock. Well, the one that really got me into death, like hard rock, like heavy shit's Cold Chamber. But you know, then we moved to Woodbridge, Virginia, and I didn't have any friends really, but I made a really good friend, and I was over at his house, spending a couple of nights there because we were out of school for I think a week or so, and he had a poster of Slipknot up on his wall, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? They look bad as shit, but I counted 9 guys. I'm like, who the fuck needs 9 members in a band? My friend was telling me about who they were. He goes, have you never heard of them? I was like, no, I never heard their music before. And he played me what they had really put out, Spit It Out and Wait and Bleed. Mainly those 2 songs. Fell in love with them after Wait and Bleed. And then my mom was kind of like, what the fuck is that? You ain't listening to that? And then, I went and bought that CD myself and played it. And, I would sit there. Remember back in the day when you had VCR and you record stuff off the TV? We had this one thing, this Fuse, before Fuse would come like the higher channels on digital cable, when it was an actual, channel on your cable. And I would sit there and from 8 p.m. to midnight, they had a thing called the Metal Block. And it was nothing but metal music, and I never missed it. Every night, it was on that fucking channel. And I would always have my VCR tapes and ready to record videos I loved. And main ones were Slipknot. When I saw Wait and Bleed and I saw how they performed on, I had to see them live. And I did in 2001 Ozfest, which I told my story time about. And then Iowa came out, total different sound compared to the debut album. The debut album was great. Iowa was fucking dark. God, that was one of the darkest fucking albums I've ever heard. And my love for him grew and grew and grew, and it was getting to the point to where everything was Slipknot to me. Music, everything. And then in 2004, when Volume 3 came out, I was living with my dad at the time in Baltimore. And I heard Before I Forget, well, I heard Duality more than I heard any others, because that was the one that came out at the time on the radio. And my dad knew how much I loved Slipknot, and one day him, my stepmom, and my sister went out shopping while I was cleaning up the backyard. And when they came home, my dad sat the CD down in front of me and goes, "Here you go, man." I was like, "Oh." And he gave me a CD player that he had that he didn't use anymore and a pair of headphones. And I listened to the fuck out of that CD. And I grew to, love, People Equal Shit, Duality, Circles, Pulse of the Maggots. Before I Forget, it's like one of the top 3 favorite songs by them. And then, later on down the line, being Miss Third Gen and everything, All Hope Is Gone came in. And the first song I've heard from that in video I saw was Psychosocial. Now, when Miss Third Gen was pregnant with Gizmo, he would respond to Psychosocial, like good response. Then I started playing Slipknot when she was pregnant, and oh my god, kid was fucking nuts. He loved it, and he loves Slipknot today. And then All Hope Is Gone produced some of my favorite songs, Psychosocial, Sulfur, a ton. But that's like a lot of people put that as their worst album. Even the band didn't like it because they didn't jam. It wasn't Slipknot. They were just making an album. And a lot of people said you really couldn't understand the music and everything like that. And it won them a Grammy, which they don't care about. It went to #1, which they don't care about. So, And then, they had the big tragedy of Paul Gray passing away. And I don't cry much, especially over people I don't know or never really got close to. But I cried when Paul Gray passed away because he was my whole reason to play bass. And one of these days, when I get my bass, I'll play on here for you guys. I'm not super talented or nothing, but I'll play. And after Paul Gray passed away, I heard Slipknot was going on tour the next year in Ionosphere, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? Well, they got a longtime friend of the band who used to be a former band member, Donnie Steele, to play bass. And a lot of people were like, that's kind of soon to have another bass player on stage. Well, Donnie Steele had the idea that he would play backstage. And what he did is that they had him a bass set up behind Joey Jordison. You could see him in some videos I've seen. You could see him back there playing his bass. And instead they had a tribute to Paulie on stage with his, jumpsuit, a mask, and a bass guitar. And at the end, when they play Till We Die, which is a great song, by the way, they would, outro would be Till We Die. They'd put his tribute up on the main pedestal, and the band would take pictures and everything. It was just really heartfelt. You could tell when Paul Gray died, a lot of the members' feelings changed, and you could tell, especially Clown, because Clown and Paul started Slipknot, and then you watch their press conference that they did where they took no questions and talked about it. You seen 8 guys, plus his brother, plus his wife, who was pregnant at the time, which is just terrible to really go through. I mean, I couldn't imagine what she was going through. Just lost her husband, and she's pregnant with, and the baby will never know Paul physically. Emotionally and stuff, she'll know definitely because of the maggots, the fans, how much they loved her dad, especially from the guys in the band. So, and when they started playing Ionosphere, they returned to old Slipknot to a sense. A lot of the band members did. Corey kind of went back to the old mask, having one redone, and it was really heartfelt. And when you watch some of the videos where they're playing Spit It Out, especially at the first annual Knot Fest when they play Spit It Out, and Corey said, "Come on, Paul," you can hear his voice crack. That's when you knew that they finally hit him. And when I got wind of the new album, never really heard what the name was. I was like, it'll probably be something with Paul Gray. I was right, Point Five, the Gray chapter, and it was a very fitting tribute to their friend, their brother, and their bandmate that had fallen on hard times and unfortunately passed away. Then it brings me to Point Five, the Great Chapter itself, the album. The album, it goes in so many directions. Like I was talking to my dad about this, and I agree with him. It goes in so many directions. I mean, you take three of their biggest songs right now. You got Kill Pop, The Devil and I, and Custer. The negative one, yeah, it was the first video they made for that. I'm gonna put the negative one in there too. You got one song that makes you want to kill, one song that makes you want to, love, one song that makes you just want to beat someone's ass, and one song that just makes you want to headbang to your neck snaps. And the tempos are so different to almost every different song. It doesn't go to one direction or the other. It goes 55 directions at one time. And a lot of people love this album. A lot of people don't like this album, but it's one of their best albums to me. Their songs are just so emotion driven. It's not even funny. Like my favorite song from them on this album right now is Custer. Custer and the negative one are my two favorite songs. Yeah, I love Kill Pop and The Devil and I, and AOV and Catastrophe and all that. But when it comes to the songs that I like the most, would be Custer and the negative one, because they go to the same tempo. You want to beat ass. You want to kill and maim and everything like that. The Devil and I was an amazing song. Kill Pop is an amazing song. Kill Pop is almost like the newer version of Vermilion or Vermilion Part 2, if you really look into it. It's like it went from purity to Vermilion, Vermilion Part 2, to Kill Pop. That's like the evolution of that. The melodic metal type thing. And I recently watched the Kill Pop video, and it was beautifully done. Clown never ceases to amaze me with his abilities. A little snuff too. Gotta add that one in there. And the videos they're producing for the Point Five, the Great Chapter, are incredible. The abandoned building thing is kind of, their forte, because they've done it with Left Behind, Spit It Out. They've done it with Psychosocial, Sulfur, Kill Pop, Devil and I. But a band has their forte with music. That's what they're going to do. And I personally love the album. Now, if I had to put the albums in my order, in my opinion, would be the debut, Point Five. It would be the debut, Point Five, Volume 3, All Hope Is Gone, and in Iowa. The reason why I put Iowa last is still to this day, there's only maybe one or two songs I like off of it, if that. I mean, there's a couple songs in there. I'll listen to it because it's Slipknot, but if I had to choose, Now my top five, I have my top 5 songs from Slipknot. My top 5 is number 1, Spit It Out. Number 2, Before I Forget. Number 3, The Negative One. Number 4, Custer. Number 5 would have to be Sulfur. Yeah, if I had to put that in order. So, when it comes to Slipknot, they're my favorite band. I mean, and then going back to the band itself, Paul Gray's gone. Unfortunately, Joe Jordison either got kicked out or left, what have you. And they have 2 replacements, and you have V-Man and you have Jay Weinberg. And it's like as soon as Devil and I came out, everyone knew who the bassist was because of his tattoos. Very recognizable. I knew who it was when I saw his tattoos on his hand, because I listened to Crocodile. So, but the way they introduced him to Devil and I was amazing, perfectly done, considering Slipknot, perfectly done. And I just watched Rock in the Ring from this past weekend, and it was utterly amazing to hear him go, "Hey J man, let's send him home and spit it out." I never thought he'd introduce. I never thought he would recognize his name, and he does. And B Man's coming more into his own on stage and getting up front, walking around, says standing there, and that's amazing. It lets you know how these guys are really growing with this band, and it's absolutely amazing. So I know this video is kind of long. That's the reason why my other two videos are kind of short, considering this was going to be the longest one. So, that's my take on Slipknot and the whole album, songs, band, what have you. And anyone who knows me personally knows Slipknot's my favorite band of all time. So, for now, this is my music vlog. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, favorite, all that good shit. Don't forget to get your family, mother, cousin, brothers, sisters, aunts to love my videos. You know you want to. Whoever watches this, comment below. Tell me what you guys think about Slipknot. Or who your favorite band is. Who your favorite band, what's your favorite album is. Your favorite songs. Let me know. I want to know. Trust me, I do. So for now, like I said, music vlog with the devil. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. Always rock on.